Good evening and welcome to the monthly CRA meeting. And the meeting's now called to order. And I'd like Councilman Blocker Commissioner Blocker in the wrong meeting. Commissioner Blocker to lead us in Pledge of Allegiance.
We all stand with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, anybody in the audience would like to approach the CRA commissioners with any concerns you may have? Anybody in the audience like to approach the CRA commission? Okay, we're going to move on to item 3, approval of the CRA minutes from the 9th of April. Can I have, let me make note of who is here. All commissioners are present, including our CRA attorney and our CRA director. Now, can I have action on the minutes, please?
I'll make a motion that we accept them.
Second.
A motion second to accept. Any objections? Any objections? No objections? They pass unanimously. Public opportunity on agenda items. Anybody would like to address the commission tonight on items that are on tonight's agenda? Anybody in the audience like to talk to us about tonight's agenda? Last call, moving on to old business. CRA assurances. You move at speed of sound, Alicia.
I'm going to move at the speed of sound. I'll do my best.
So we do. You better join us.
The CRA assurances are what we went over last time. They just didn't make it in y'all's packet. This time they've made it completely in y'all's packet. The assurances are just moving the financial obligations regarding the CRA over to the city finance director, and leaving all administrative duties and responsibilities under the administrator. That's what the CRA is, and do y'all have any questions in regards to this?
Ladies and gentlemen, we've seen this several times before. Tonight's the night we need to make a decision on it. Anybody like to make a motion? I'm looking for action from the commissioners. Any action? Yes, go ahead.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the CRA assurance.
Would you just put your mic down a little bit, Commissioner? Thank you.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the CRA assurances as presented.
Mr. President, second.
Okay, we have a motion second to approve the redone amended declaration of assurances. Now open it to discussion. Anybody have any discussion concerning this matter?
Mr. President.
Yeah, go ahead. Mr.
Question
Hayes.
this attorney. Have you reviewed this?
Yes, I have, sir.
Okay.
And I know that in the last meeting, our growth management director had concerns and issues with it with respect to whether the oversight by the growth management director would continue. And I think that needs to be at least discussed so that we know where we stand with that. And if we intend for her to continue in that role. And I believe that the director has said that she does want that to continue.
Yeah, it doesn't change the oversight from the administrator in growth management. All it does is move the finances to our finance department, so we won't have to go through an accounting firm, and it allows it's really just making the finances operate like the rest of the departments in the city do. And we go through the finance director. If I need checks, I do the check request with them, and if I need to get the credit card, I can go through them to get it. I submit everything to them, and that way also when it comes to the audit and everything at the end of the year, they already have everything. I will still be doing the reconciliations and giving all the reconciliations to the finance director and the city clerk, and I have no problem giving copies to the growth management director. All oversights of the CRA administrative duties will not change. It's just oversight of the finances go to the finance department. That's the only thing I'm changing.
Any other comments or questions?
Mr. President.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Hayes.
I know in section 9 and 10 it addresses that.
Yeah, like I said, this is not the first time we've seen this.
Yeah, that's why I made the motion, because I noted that was in there, and especially number 10 in the spirit of cooperation, what it states will happen there. So we need to make sure that 9 and 10, in my opinion, are adhered to. That's why I voted to approve, gave the motion.
Any other discussion? We have a motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So passed. 7-0.
Okay, and continue on with new business.
Just
I'm
one
sorry,
second.
I'm sorry,
I
I'm
want to
sorry.
welcome Commissioner Nathan Boyle. He'll be joining us up here next month, provided we pass this, I'm sure we will. Anyway, welcome.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, and I was just trying to be fast, like you told me to. So and then under new business, the Economic Redevelopment Program, I'm making a proposal with y'all regarding the Crestview Historic and Culture Center. I thought I included the RFQ or the RFP in the packet. Obviously, I didn't. I have been out of town for a week, so I had to do everything prior to leaving. Forgive me for not sending that to y'all. I thought I did in a separate email. But what this is, and I'll just briefly go over it, kind of give y'all an update. The Bush House, which is now known as the Elder Services, and that's that little packet program I gave you right here. I'm just letting y'all know what we're up to. Awesome. I love passing notes. This packet, this is kind of gives you an overview of what we're wanting to do with the Bush House and make it a historical museum, art, and culture center. It will fall under the Economic Redevelopment Program of restoring the old building and fixing it up. It right now is I've talked with Public Services, and it's kind of a maintenance nightmare. It's always having problems. It needs to be restored. Right now, they're just saving it. And the essence of turning it into a historical museum and art and culture center. I would like to restore the museum. We're currently working on, I'm working with Ann Spann with the Historic Society. We're working on doing a grant. I'm going to try to get a grant, and in here it says a special project grant, but I talked to somebody this week who is a grant writer for a city, and she said for me to go for the small grant, which is just a $50,000 matching grant, to plan the project. And they're wanting me to go, and we're filling this grant out. We're going to submit it, and then on June the 30th is when I will award the grant. I will go down to the meeting, and if I'm at the meeting and answer any questions, I see you have a better option to get the grant money. This project, this initial small grants program, will help pay for the planning of the project. For the bigger grant, which we will apply for next year, and it's a special project grant, which will help pay for actually building and supplying with structures needed on the inside for the Bush House. We would like to turn it into a museum, Crestview Museum. Right now, all of the Crestview Museum stuff is being stored in Baker and Valparaiso, and I think we need to bring it back here. On this, as you'll see, I'll just briefly let y'all know, and you can read over it. We're wanting to have a rotating history displays, having also artists come in and do art programs. I would like to even recruit traveling art shows and traveling history shows, and when there's special months, like Black History Months, have a special display regarding Crestview's Black History. And any other cultures around the world, we can even do something special for our sister city in France. We want to offer educational programs, writing classes for budding artists, for writing and art classes, special history presentations, and work with the local schools so they can come out and view the history, and so we can have a place where Crestview history is actually seen instead of just talked about. The book is phenomenal, the Forkland that was done, but I would like to have, I think a building would be great. We're going to work with Elder Services. I'm going to get a memorandum of agreement from them that will keep Elder Services in the building, and Nathan just passed me a note. The transit system that is in there currently will be moving out. They're getting a new location. So the Elder Services will be in the back there, and the Historical Museum will be up front, with one side being an educational area where we can have meetings, we can have art shows, and we can have presentations. So that's what we're working on this. I just wanted y'all to know that I would like to pursue the grant. It would be a $50,000 matching grant if we need the $50,000 to plan the project and get started restoring the house, a beautiful history part of Crestview. Any questions that I've overlooked? Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. Gardner.
All right. Do you know any amount that this don't cost us or anything like that?
Right now, I've got a contractor. I walked through the building with him and on what it's going to take to actually repair the house. There's foundation issues. There's a lot of issues in the house. He's estimating around $200,000 to $300,000 to actually repair the house. That's why I want to get the small grant in the beginning to get all the permits and get everything that's needed, and then we can get a larger grant down the road to actually restore the house. And matching also refers to in-kind service and things that the city already does to help prevent, to keep the building up. So it will be in-kind and financial matching.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Hayes, go ahead.
Yes, concerning reference to what gentleman has said, I noticed you say you had one contractor that's looked out. Is that the only one that you've approached so far?
Yeah, right now I had to do, I'm in a kind of a time crunch because I've got to present this on June 1st. And they really just want a kind of an estimate. When we get further into it, the small grants, we just kind of want an idea of what we're going to need. And since we're just doing the planning process, the small grants won't need a complete 3-grant or 3-bid process like everything else. It's the larger grant when we actually do the construction work. The small grant, we won't need that. But I did have a contractor look through it because I kind of wanted an idea of what it's going to take to fix it up and whether we even wanted to pursue and go further on that. And he estimated around somewhere between 250, or he said probably around 250,000 to actually get that house to where it will. We want to restore it as close as we can back to its historical way it looked back in the day. We're not going to put the fence around there's a white picket fence that was around it initially. Not planning on doing that. That's an expense we don't need to do. And of course, we've got to fix it up to where it's got modern conveniences. The handicap ramp and the ADA compliance has to be in there too. We're not going to do anything upstairs. That's money that I don't think we need. Upstairs is mainly going to be used for storage.
Mr. President.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Hayes.
I don't know, and I haven't seen the estimate of what it proposes to do, but $250,000 shows like a whole lot of money to restore that place. Now, maybe I'm not in that business. I got other councilmen who have been in that business, but I sure would like to know what his estimates are based on. It's gonna this right here needs repairing. This right here is probably gonna estimate it's gonna cost that much, and we're in my opinion, we're going into this sort of halfway blind. And you know how I am about halfway blind stuff. I can't see that well out of one eye already. But I'm just being facetious there. But yeah, it's and I don't have any problems with that. Just the details that go with what you're proposing is what I need to see. Me myself personally, I know you're going for the grant, and all they want is an estimate.
Yeah.
But once that's applied for and whatever, I think it would be incumbent upon you to come back to the board and give us a lot more detail than what we did. Because I haven't had time to glance at this right here, just got it. But I'm in favor of going with the museum. I'm just questioning some of the procedures and the costs.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to answer. He's saying the most. What he's saying, I told him, I said, what I would like for you to do is bring me to fix this is this, to do this is this, to do this is this. And it may be, $250,000. It's like, well, we cannot do this project. That's not necessary. We don't have to do this. He's going to break everything down, and that's what I'm going to ask them to do is break everything down. The roof needs to be repaired. Don't think it needs to be replaced because it is a metal roof, but there is a leak in it. There is a problem that's been a maintenance issue. And so the main things we're going to take care of to get it looking nice. Now, of course, in the restoring to get it back to looking as historical as possible, that could get where the other expenses come in. And we can determine from the bid, well, that's not necessary for the expense. And then that's when we submit, I've got another, after getting this small grant, I've got a year to put the rest of it together and for us to look at each bid and all the expenses and decide exactly what we want to do for the restoration. He's just estimating at the most around $250. There are foundation issues that we'll have to, the floor's got to be jacked up. There are some foundation issues that are costly.
Yes, Mr. Blanco, go ahead.
I would like to see a minimum of 2 and maybe 3 proposals,
Yes, sir, we will have those.
period. Okay?
Yes, sir. We will have those. Right now, this is just the grant for the planning, and it's planning grant. For the big grant, yes, I will get several proposals. I've got an RFQ that, or RFP that we've already worked on that I was going to submit here, but right now, because I am going for the small one, the RFP is not needed right now, and I'd like to tweak that and add more information into it. That's with the big grant that's going to be next year.
Well, I understand, but I don't want this here amount that you go in proposing for this grant to sunset it before it ever gets started.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. This grant has to be submitted by the 1st of June,
I
the
understand,
small
but I'm
one.
talking about the bottom line amount.
Yeah, that's
Don't
next year.
Burden yourself with it.
Oh, well, thank you. That's next year, and we will put
Yeah.
all that together for the big grant. This is just the planning grant, the preparation and planning grant.
Any other comments, questions? Yes, Ms. Fairclough, go ahead.
I can appreciate the historical significance of that property, but to me, you've got to weigh what's the most important to us, the historical significance of the property or how much it's going to cost us to restore it. I'm sorry, I'm not a real estate appraiser, but I would be surprised if that house was worth more than $45,000.
And that,
And we're gonna spend $250,000 on it?
that's not what we're going for right now. He estimated $250 for the next year's big grant. If I bring that to y'all, and after we do the planning, and y'all decide, no, we're not gonna put that much money in it, let's just get it fixed, let's get the repairs fixed so it doesn't fall in, then we'll just do that part, and then I'll just submit that for the bigger grant. But right now, this small grant is just for the planning of it. The significance to this building is, no, the building is a historical building, and it's, Mr. Bush built this building. He was a significant part of the railroad. So you're really getting a art and culture center and history center. And that's, when you look at those throughout the cities and other cities, that's expensive to get all that together. But that's going to be for y'all to determine later on how much y'all actually want to put in the building. I'm just getting the grant right now for the planning of it. When we get all that, if we get this, and even if we don't get this, I would like to pursue to go further with the planning. But I'm actually trying to get the grant to help defray some of the cost of this planning and of all the process and everything. So that's where I'm trying to get this. And part of this will go to pay some of the repairs. I mean, there's the ceiling's falling down in one of the rooms. I don't know if y'all have been in that building, but it's not secure, it's not safe, it's got an old metal door on the front, and it needs help. And it's kind of hard to go to people that own buildings here in town and tell them, we really wish you'd fix up your building, when the city has one right down the road that's falling apart. And I think we need to set an example. And so we're taking pride in our own buildings, and it's a catalyst to help other people to do the same. Anything we do that's an improvement helps to make more improvements in the city. And but the big money is next year, not this year.
Mr. Hayes?
Yeah, Mr. President, this is to our clerk. I glanced at that contract between them and Elder Service a little while back. Was there any obligation for Elder Service utilizing that building, what we lease space to them for nothing, forever?
They have an unlimited, no-end lease on that, so whatever.
I know that, but for
whatever
the
the agreement is that they come up with, we'll have to abide by it. If they say we can't have it,
I'm
that's
talking
up
about
to y'all
as
to
far as
decide.
the maintenance of it, the building.
We're supposed to we maintain it, yes.
Okay.
But there's no obligation for upgrading.
That was a bad lease we got into.
And I've talked to Elder Services. I don't want y'all to think I haven't. I've talked to Elder Services, and they're very excited about the project. And I've talked to a few of them, and they're willing to possibly have volunteers to be at the museum during the day and actually supply volunteers to run the museum. And I've even talked to some other people, volunteers, who actually want to bring programs to there. and bring traveling, history shows and art shows, and have it more than just a building that sits there displaying historical things. It's going to be an active building for the city.
Mr. President.
Yes, go ahead.
On this right here, this is just for information purposes right now?
This is for y'all to know where my thoughts are, and this is what I was putting together for the big grant, and I actually will be giving this to them for the smaller grant so they'll know what we're thinking and what we're wanting to do, because the more support we get and the more things we've got going on there, the better chance we have to get the grant. And it's going to show them it's not just a building, it's going to sit there and display our history. It's
Okay.
going to be a working, active historical museum. And I mean, even wanting to get in there where you can go and do your research your ancestry, because right now people have to go to Baker to get stuff on Crestview. And Baker's a really small town. And if they can have a historical museum, I mean, they've got a lot of our stuff there. I think we need to have it here.
Mr. President,
Go ahead, Ms. Nance.
the reason I made reference to this, if you look on page 6,
Page 6.
yes,
And-
where it says, it's
You're
got,
looking at the wrong reference. That has nothing to do with this.
no, it's,
This is from
that's why I
Teresa
asked,
about grants.
is this dealing with the grant or?
No,
Okay, that's why I asked what she gonna,
no,
this
What's
is
that?
something separate.
that's something separate.
Okay, I'll answer my questions then.
Okay, so, yeah, this that I just handed y'all right before the meeting, I just wanted y'all to have, and you can look at it and later. But what I'm wanting and what we're needing to have from y'all, it goes a long way with writing these grants if we have support from the community. And I'm going to ask for a letter from the CRA board supporting this historical grant and something stating we support this project, and that goes a long way with getting a historical grant and when I go and present it to them. And I plan on being in that meeting to answer any questions they have.
Any other comments, questions before I close it up? Dr. LaRose, go ahead.
Yes. How much is the small grant? I know you were saying.
50,000, the most. And if we get it, and we only, use part of it, that's fine, but the rest of it can go toward the actual other things. But that's why I wanted them to know what all, we're planning on doing it, and I'll negotiate with the rest of the grant process. If there's some left over, if it can go back, or if not, we can return it.
I have another.
Yeah, go ahead, ma'am.
From this 50,000, did you get somebody to appraise how much the work is going to cost?
Well, and that's why I was talking about I got a contractor to come up there and look at it, and that's where the 250, that's the actual work. The 50,000 is for planning and anything we need. I don't think we'll use 50,000 right now for the planning and getting it. It'll cover some of the repairs, some of the just basic repairs on the building that need to be covered to prevent major damage. So when we do get the bigger grant, that will cover actually making it a historical museum and putting it back to its historical process.
Thank you.
Yes, I will get grant. I will get bids, and we will do the right bidding process.
Chairman, if I could
Go
just,
ahead, Doctor.
if I could just clarify, so your application is for a grant for 50,000.
Mhm.
That's a matching grant, which would require the CRA
Yes, to come up with
match the
50,000.
50,000.
Yes, it is a matching grant.
A
So
total
that's
of
why-
100,000 potentially toward the planning of.
Well, it's not just going to be the planning. It's actually going to also be some repairs to get it fixed, like the holes in the ceiling and the roof that's leaking, to get the major repairs. The bigger grant is for restoring it to a historical building. We may get this 50 and put our 50 with it, and it be fine, and we don't need the bigger grant. If we can get it looking nice and it be sufficient, we may not need the bigger grant. But yes, this is a 50,000 matching grant.
I'd like to make a few comments. First of all, I was going to bring up the fact it is matching, so we are committing dollars, but I think it's worthwhile. I remember the first time I went in the building, I was kind of embarrassed by it. And I said, "Who owns this building?" I said, "The city." "I don't know." Get elder services. I thought, well, it's under the county or whatever, and it does need work. And the historical buildings require money. I mean, look at the Gulf Breeze Hotel in Fort Walton Beach. Look what they're sinking into that hotel over there. So just to get this thing moving, I don't think it's a bad move whatsoever. in having our own museum, and you said Ann Span supports that, she's not gonna feel
Yes,
that we're
she's-
raiding the ark or anything.
No, she's not. I've met with the historical board, they're very much for it.
And I guess from Commissioner Boyles, we know that the transit people are gonna move out of there, so, 'cause I'd hate to evict them for any reason. We certainly use them over here. Okay,
I would like to ask for if y'all agree for me to move forward with this grant process, agree for a letter showing support from the board for us to move forward with this process. That's what I'm asking for from y'all is support, because I need community support for the grant process.
somebody make a motion that we allow Lisa to pursue getting the grant. And as your chairman, I'll do a letter of endorsement, or whatever you need, and you prepare it for me and whatever it is you need. Can I get an action?
Mr. President, question.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Hayes.
This is the council. Do we need a motion, or can we have consensus on this?
I would suggest a motion because it's going forward with action.
Yeah.
Okay, this question.
So did you make a
Do I
motion?
hear a motion?
That was the question I'm.
Go ahead, Ms. Fairclough.
I would make a motion that we give
Elisa,
Lisa permission to seek this grant.
thank you.
I
With
second.
an endorsement from the commission.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I second.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
first and second, any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right.
Thank you. Final thing I need to cover is, well, no, there's two things, I'm sorry. Conference, conventions, and meetings. The Main Street Association Annual Conference is in Vero Beach, Florida. I am required to go to that meeting. I need y'all's approval for the travel expenses for that meeting. It's July the 30th through August the 1st. And that is a requirement as me being officially the director of Main Street Association to go to at least the annual meeting once a year.
Where's the meeting at?
Vero Beach, you can't go.
Thanks.
They do have these conferences in the worst places.
We need action, gentlemen and lady. Somebody give me a motion.
Mr. President,
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Hayes.
I'd like to offer a motion that, our, Ms. Elisa be allowed to, that we, travel to the conference and that the expenses be approved and that once it's over, the expense report be submitted to the,
That's normal operating
Yeah.
procedure.
Second.
Motion second to authorize our director to attend the Main Street Association Annual Conference in Vero Beach, Florida, July 30th to August 1st. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
Thank you. All right, the final thing I need to cover is, a while back, we bought some barriers for parades and things. Public Services has done a great job of taking care of those barriers and getting them to and from anytime we have anything. However, it has been brought to our attention that they have inadequate storage and transportation for these barriers, and they're requesting that, for some trailers to store them and for transporting them to you can see through the pictures how many there are and how they're having to be stacked. And they're asking for some trailers to help store these buildings. And if you'll see the quotes behind it, the best quote we have is the one for $4,098. I have checked with the FRA conference department, and since we bought these trailers, it is okay for us to purchase the storage for these trailers in our CRA plan with the CRA. So it is because Carol questioned.
You're talking about the storage or more trailers?
With the trailers, they store them in
Right.
trailers, and then they take them to and from.
Geez.
And, I'm sorry.
I think, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and so I wanted, Carol had talked to Carol about it. She was questioning on whether that's a legitimate expense for CRA, so I did check when I was down there, and they said, yes, that is an official expense that is okay. Since we did buy the trailers, to buy the barriers.
confusing
I'm
me
sorry, I
calling
keep
trailers
messing,
instead
I'm
of
sorry. Since we did buy the barriers,
barriers,
we
we
can
can
buy
store
the
them.
trailers for
Yeah, that makes
storing
sense.
them. Yes, that is
Any
an okay
questions about
expense.
that? Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Scotty.
I was gonna make a motion, but that's okay.
Let's see if there are any questions before you make the motion. Yes, Mr. Fairclough?
We don't have to put something like that out for bids on the trailers?
This came through the Public Services Department, and he got bids. There's 3 bids in here.
Okay.
So, yeah, he got the bids, and they presented it to me, and I am presenting it to y'all, requesting the funds to be paid to them, because they're the ones buying the trailers.
All right,
We bought the barriers.
I'll take action now, Mr. Gardner.
I make a motion that we do approve it.
Got a motion, have a second?
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
Discussion.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Hayes.
And I'd like to hear from our public directors, even though it comes from Chuck signed this, concerning this. Can you give us any more insight in this, please, sir?
Yes, sir. When we first purchased the parade barricades, we also purchased 2 trailers. The CRA purchased the barricades and the trailers. That was back in 2008. In 2014, you wanted to purchase 100 more barricades. We purchased them for the CRA, but we did not get any additional trailers. We were using our trailers in the event when we had to move them. Now, our trailers are being used all the time. We don't have anything extra to transport the extra barricades around during an event. We have to come unload what's on them and then go back and load it again and then come back and unload those. It's creating a lot of extra work and safety issues just for those 100 extra barricades. We're just requesting that we be able to, the CRA approve purchase of 2 additional trailers to store those 100 extra barricades on. That's all.
Which is what we did with the original ones.
Exactly.
Mr. Blocker, you have a comment, question?
Question, Mr. Steele, would 2 trailers suffice you with every barricade we own?
Yes, sir. We can store 55 to 60 barricades on each trailer, and we have 100, so 2 would be sufficient. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Action, please. Go and make a motion,
We had
please.
a motion
Made.
to approve $4,098.
We're ready to vote. Oh, I'm sorry.
That was-
I had one of those moments. Okay, we had a motion, second discussion. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right.
Thank you.
What more do
Appreciate
you
it.
want?
I'm done.
You are.
Thank you.
Dr. Leone, you have anything for us? You get checks in the mail?
We have, we got the April check. It is less than the typical amount. Apparently, there's been some cash flow issues, and he requested permission from the collection agency to have a reduced payment for the next few months, which they allowed, but at least we still have a check. It's just a couple $100 less, and it's still coming in, and it's still consistent, so I.
Are you charging them interest?
Well, I think they are, actually. No, probably not. I think that was part of, we never did ask for interest on that.
Okay. Anything else for us?
Well, just some ethics. I promised you that we'd talk about some ethics issues if we had time, and it looks like we do have a little bit of time. And we will be having a new board member soon who's a non-voting ex officio member. A question has come up whether the sunshine law applies to that member, and it does. And I just wanted to refer you to Attorney General Opinion 2005-18, where they address that concern. I'll pass out copies to you
Yeah.
for perusal. But just,
surprised
and
you
that just means you can't discuss issues that may come before the board with him, just like anyone else who's on the board. It's the same type of rule that would apply.
Even though he's non-voting?
Yes, sir. And that is exactly why the question was raised to the Attorney General, and she opined, actually, it was Chris Christie, I believe, but he did issue the opinion, and it's that particular conclusion is also included in the most current ethics rules for public entities, the Government and the Sunshine Manual that was published in 2017. They actually refer to that opinion. So it's still current and there's more. And effective. So just for your information. That's all I have, sir.
I'll have to look this over, you know, it appears to me it's talking about condominiums and maybe somehow we fit in with that, but I'll look at it.
And usually these opinions, just for your information, the result or the determination is at the end where they conclude what they're.
Yeah, I include everybody, huh?
So if you look at the last paragraph, that usually gets you to the summary.
You know, again, Dr. Leone, you know, in summary, in my opinion, meetings between a voting member of the Advisory Council on Condominiums and a Director of Division of Florida Land Sales, I don't see
Well,
how that
they're a
applies
public
to.
entity. And so the Attorney General is looking at how it applies, how the Sunshine Law applies to a public entity.
Right.
So we're a public entity, the CRA board's a public
But
entity.
I don't see the word public entity, I see.
Well, if you
I see
look earlier,
condominiums.
well, but there is specifically applying it to the question at hand. But earlier they talk about the rule itself and how it applies to public entities. The,
Well,
whatever number that is.
we'll look it over before.
Okay, and yeah,
Commissioner
certainly if you
Boyd
have any
joins us.
further questions, but it does apply generally. She's essentially saying that 286.011 applies to all meetings of any board or commission,
Right.
which is the direct quote from the statute. That's on page 2 of this opinion.
No, I understand what you're saying. I need more time to look at it, I guess,
Understand.
and digest it. I'd like to give a copy to Mr.
Yes,
Commissioner Boyles, too.
absolutely.
Okay. Is that all you have, ma'am?
Yes, sir. That's-
All right. Ms. Teresa, you're on the hot seat.
The Building Improvements Board has been working double time, and we have brought, we would like to remove Terry Brackney's from the agenda. He has decided he does want signs, so we will bring it back to you at the next meeting. We have 4 confirmed facade grant improvements that are recommended to you by your Facade Improvement Grants Board. We have John Colby for Main Street Suites, Tracy Tonan with the Casbah Coffee, Alex Berthay, the main building, and a rear building. Do you want to handle the grants one by one, or do you prefer to consider them all in one packet?
I think what we should do
Yeah.
is see if anybody has any questions about any particular one like I do.
Okay?
And
Okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Fairclough, you're.
Just curiosity, Mr. Barth's main building and rear building, where's that? What is it?
It's
The old C's building.
It's
what?
the
The old C's building.
old Masonic Lodge building.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Current yours.
There are, there's pictures there in your package that will define, the main lodge building is the main building, and the little,
I was looking at those, but I don't see, maybe I just didn't dig more, but I don't see a building.
this is from the rear.
That's what I thought.
This is the C.
Well, yeah, I recognize the building, but I just
This
don't.
is the C, and you see the little one back here, it kind of resembles a gas station? That's the rear building.
Okay.
Okay, because I was trying to say, where's the rear of the building? We didn't get that picture, Mr. President. That's why we're quite, we didn't get that picture.
You did? Did you?
No.
You went through each one of these? It was in there. Go to the right
They
section.
are 3 and 4.
Oh, okay.
Each one
I
has a
thought that
separate
was a
section.
whole nother section.
Each one of them is a separate section there. Each grant is separate, and should have pictures that, clearly show the buildings for each one.
You answered one of my questions already, because I thought, Mr. Barkey was referring to the front of the building and the rear of the same building.
Oh,
And-
no,
And I said, well, yeah, I don't think you can do that. But he's talking about the two separate
No,
buildings. Yeah, I see that.
yeah, can only have it for one building, one grant for one building.
That's what I thought.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a question in regards to the Alexander Barthay or
Birthday.
Barthay. The proposed plan we have just mentioned what the cost will be for each, I guess, area, but it didn't give us a breakdown as to what costs what.
Okay, okay, so would you prefer to go through each one then? Would that save times, or
It seemed like everybody focused on this one
on
grant.
that one? Okay, in the back, he actually has proposals for his entire, development, as being $166,351. What they're going to do is they have got a tremendous, breakdown. Unfortunately, the copier wouldn't print yellow highlighters, but each one of those, because the same contractor's gonna do both, they can do, they can consider, what it's gonna cost for one and the other, and kind of give them a break on the cost for materials and things like that. But he's got it fairly well itemized out as far as what's in the different entities. He's got it broken down into doors, what the structure, the plumbing, the drywall, the ADA ramp. Oh, but like I say, it's in one bid, because they're gonna be awarded both buildings to do it. And they well exceed, the cost of doing it that they're going to expend well exceeds the matching of the CRA's grant. The CRA will only match $10,000. And
Teresa, I think the problem that Dr. Rose has, the same problem I had, is that when you look at the $166,000, it was hard to go through and figure out that this much was going to be for doors and windows. You'd have to search through all those things to break it out and come up with $16,562.17. So that was a difficulty with me. I think that's what you're saying too, is that the whole thing is there, so we know it's there, but it was hard to look at adding up all the different little pieces and breaking them out from 166K. That was the issue, I think.
oh, okay.
Mr. President, I got-
Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Walker.
Teresa, I went through his proposed item by item, and I see that some of these items, in my gut feeling from past experience, I think some of these prices is escalated a little bit.
I haven't had a price on anything to compare it to, so.
That's what I'm talking about.
But to his credit, he's only asking for $10,000 out of
That's-
Max he can get anyhow.
That's all
That's
he
what I'm
can
saying,
get.
is that-
That's all he
all
can
he
get.
can
Right.
Times two.
So,
He's
Two
go,
different buildings.
yeah, he's going to expend, over, well, over $160,000 in the improvement of the facade and the interior of the buildings. So, the 10 grand, for the facade itself, like I say, is, it's pretty well encompassed if you go through and check the individual prices of what's there, as far as, their ramps, their your storefront and your front windows. Like those in the garage are just the storefront and the windows themselves without any of the other facade improvements is $9,100. So, do you want it itemized closer. I mean, it's one of the most detailed itemized sheet I've ever seen. It's itemized line by line.
Mr. President, I have no problem with the 10,000.
I think that our job is to support the people, and out of $166,000, he's asking for $20,000 for 2 buildings. Sounds very reasonable to me.
Mr. Teresa, Mr. President.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Hammond.
I do have a question, because I never noticed the sign up here, and I don't know if it's misleading or I'm just interpreting it wrong. It says courthouse suites on here.
That's the plan of the new development,
it's
gonna
gonna
be
be called?
courthouse suite. He is going to almost be like it's
I see where he's leasing it.
yeah, it's gonna be leasing, he's gonna make interior office, something similar to our Main Street suite. There's a big demand for office space downtown, and this is going to help.
Especially near a new courthouse.
Yeah, I just saw, when I saw it, I said courthouse suites, I said, oh, the courthouse putting up suites, but, you know.
No, it's going to be, Alex putting up those, suites and renting them out to, entrepreneurs that would like to be near the courthouse.
No problem.
Mr. Cox, you appear that you have a question.
Yeah, I was, this is real detailed, but some of it is extraneous because much of it is on the interior that doesn't really apply to what the grant is about. But his proposed expenditures covers the one. However, on the, he's showing different numbers, a $5,900 number on landscaping, and then where he write the thing, it's $6,800.
This is
And-
only
and does that-
this
does-
is the detail bid of the person that was the most detailed in there.
Mm-hmm.
He has 2 other bids, areas that actually, the one that's on written down in handwriting is actually from a separate bid that actually has a cheaper price. So he's shopping to get the price itself, but what we concluded was the prices that would be the least expensive. Like, even though this is gonna be his contractor, another bid showed a different amount for that. So in considering the amount that he's gonna spend or would have to spend, we consider the lower bid amount. Now, I didn't dump all those in because there were like 5 different prints, where the itemized one line by line was much clearer.
Can I answer that question for you? I asked, are you talking about these numbers right here, don't match anything in the back? I
Yeah.
asked him that. And what he said is he got, and they didn't know how to submit this, and what they did is they got all the bids, and then got the average. This is the average of what all the bids were, and he thought he just needed to show that they're actually gonna pay a whole lot more out than what they're asking for, and he actually had thought we just wanted to know that he was matching more than what he was asking for. So these numbers here are an average of the bids for each of these different things.
Okay, but we
Well,
would
one-
have no
on-
way of knowing that ourselves.
On one
looking
of the
at this.
bids, there was a $6,800 for landscaping, so that's where we
I
pulled it
bet
from.
the facade improvement board did a lot of detailed research on this.
Mr. Chairman,
That would be my guess. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Speaker.
if I have the same thing you do under landscape package, I show that as a little over $12,000.
I didn't include all 5 or 6 bids that was attached to that, or we'd have had a book like this. We looked at
Well, that'll-
all the bids, and what you consider is, okay, one contractor can do this, but in your bids, you have a contractor that says, I can do it for this. That's the amount the board is going to consider
Okay, well,
in qualifying the funds.
I'm thinking that that alone qualifies for one of the $10,000 grants.
Yeah, he more than qualifies over and over.
Ready for action?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'll make a motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve it. $20,000 for,
We're acting on all the grants.
huh?
We're acting on all the grants.
Mr. President.
No.
Mr.
You
President.
gonna do all the grants at one time? I thought we were gonna do them one at a
No,
time.
we said we were going to pull out the one that people had questions about. You had questions on the other ones?
No.
Well, we were discussing because people had questions on that one. We're voting if we're gonna accept all the grants or not.
Mr. President,
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Hayes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the facade improvement grants for John Colby, Tracy,
Tonin,
Tonin, sorry about that, Alex
Bethay.
and exclude on Terry Brackney.
So second, Mr.
Have
President.
motion second to accept improvement grants with the exception of Terry Brackney, who withdrew his. Any discussion now? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Vote carries unanimous. What do we have next here?
I just want to, I dealt out your homework. I just want to make you aware that we will need several items scheduled for the June meeting, which we have one more facade grant that we're working on. And now we will actually be re-evaluating Mr. Brackney's with additional, so there'll be two to bring to you. We also have, we're working on the grant and incentive application forms and procedures for the new 2017 CRA plan. We're going to give y'all a review for it. Since the improvement board is a council board, it will go forward in the council meeting, but we do want the support of the CRA board in order to, before we submit that. So, we would like some time to talk about our partnerships, which will be one of the items that will be coming up in our new plan, is the ability of partnerships. And so Main Street Association has requested that we be able to analyze and discuss that. And on our third item, on July 26th, the agreement for services with the current CRA director terminates. So an action from the board will be necessary for us to review that. We have listed the options that you have, and we need the details in our June packet. So you can renew the existing contract. There is some additional verbiage that the city had requested be added into that, and also we need to consider a limited insurance coverage that might need to be added in that. And that was some communication that we had with our city clerk, who can probably help us on that. The other option, you can also always send out an RFQ, RFP for a new candidate. Third option is you may, since we're going to be offering partnerships, we may want to consider a CRA city partnership. For many years, the CRA director was a city employee, and they worked under administrative services. Most all of y'all remember successfully was Bill Kilpatrick, who worked diligently there. The city employees are actually covered by insurance. It might even help lessen some of the financial burden on the CRA. And we have offer a broader spectrum of trainings and experience there through partnerships. So you'll get more information on that. I just wanted you to sort of be thinking about what to proceed with, how to go about it, because you will have the June meeting, and then you will actually have to make your decision early at the July meeting. So, and that's all I have.
When is the June meeting? Right
The
now?
The June meeting is the June 11th.
June 11th?
Mm-hmm. Your July meeting will be July 9th.
I don't need that, I just need it in June. Looking at this, lady and gentlemen, it appears to me there's gonna be a big bite to chew off in 1 hour. I think we need to look at expanding this meeting. Instead of trying to crowd it in between 5 and 6, I think we need to do it justice. And so let's look at either convening earlier or changing the date, it makes no difference to me, but I think we need more than an hour. Am I the only one thinking that way?
I agree.
Great. Well, give me some hints what you want to do then. You want to start it earlier, or you want to
4 o'clock, Mr.
move the
President?
date?
4 o'clock?
Now, the 11th will be in front of a council public hearing meeting, a regular council meeting. And,
It starts at 6.
yeah, starts at 6. Well, I know you're going to have 6 ordinances that night, so.
Piece of cake compared to
Got 13
tonight.
tonight?
What's wrong with that?
All of that, all the ordinances that are under the recommendations, well, you're gonna kill off 3 of those at the special meeting, so you'll just have 6 or 8 there.
I want to focus on what we're going to do the 11th. Mr. Cox, what are your feelings on that? Separate day or just convene an hour earlier, 4 p.m.?
And convenient earlier
Yeah.
time.
It's not real convenient to the citizens, but we don't really draw a full house to CRA meetings. What do you think, Mr. Block?
I agree.
Agree? Everybody agree, 4 p.m. on the 11th? All right, let's go ahead and do it that way then. Did you get that, Commissioner ex officio? Okay.
Thank you.
You're done, thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll take any public comments from the audience.
Mr. President,
Address the CRA Commission. Yeah, Mr. Steele?
I would like to make clarification on the maintenance of the Bush building. Long ago in the agreement, that building, they are required to come before the city council for any needed repairs. It didn't fall under my department for automatic repairs because that building does not serve as a city function, kind of like the Head Start, the United Way, and the Caring and Sharing. They maintain their own buildings, but they are supposed to come before the city council and request any needed repairs, just like the roof was done years ago. And we done a big upgrade with the telephone system, and then when they first moved in, a few things like that. But it's upon them. It's incumbent upon them to come before.
My guess, Mr. Steele, is it's probably been many years that's slipped by the wayside. People don't realize that.
Yes.
So it'd be incumbent upon us maybe to make that notification to them, remind them they have to do that.
Yeah, well, I think Miss Lovejoy knows, but I'll let her know, and
Yeah.
because I've had conversation with her, and even the grass cutting, we've recently started doing that for her. She was providing those services, but you know, there's some things in that agreement that's not being met by them either, and hasn't been for many years. So we probably need to sit down with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody from the public care to address the CRA Commission? If not, I'm going to close this meeting and we'll take a party break. Go ahead, Mr. Nielsen.
Ken Nielsen, what's my address? Oh, 3162 Applin Road. I'm just really excited about the possibility of a museum. And I know my wife will be when she finds out, because I have a 14 by 16 room at my house that is slam packed with photographs, hard drives of videos from 1980 to today. So she will love, because that's where it's going. If you all put a museum together, I can't take it with me. I'd love to have a place to put all that where people can go back and look at all the images that we've captured over the years.
That's a good point. We'll have to bring Cal back from Panama City, too.
And put him, just sit him there in a chair?
Just sit him, just need to be the docent. All right, this meeting is adjourned.